This piece is built on broken chord figures that are connected between the hands and form short melodic motives. For this piece, you will need awareness of the different chord shapes and the correct fingerings for each shape, comfortable chordal shifts, both position shifts and extensions, alternating motion on the drop rolls, and good pedaling technique. The first thing we're going to do is to analyze the chord shapes. Notice that throughout most of the piece, there's a repeated sequential pattern when the chords move from a 5-3 inversion to a 6-4 inversion. So here's bar 1. Here's bar 2. That whole 5-3 to 6-4 shifts down for bars 3 and 4. And the whole thing shifts down again. Except this chord is a 6-3 chord. So this is the first one where there's actually a pattern change. And bars 7 and 8 resume the 5-3 to 6-4 chord shape. You should remember that this type of shift is called an extension because the low note stays anchored while the hand moves upward to cover the 6th on the outside of the chord. I'm going to fill in those chords now. Looking at the last two lines of the piece, you should notice that the third line is identical to the first line in terms of the chords. There is a dynamic change indicated in measure 9 with the crescendo. We'll talk about that later. Bar 13. Bar 13 does not resume a 5-3 shape, but goes to a 6-3 shape, and then a 6-4 shape, and then a 5-3 shape, and then the ending chord. One thing that I would like you to do is to write out the chord progression on your score. You can write it out in Roman numeral analysis, or you could also write it out in just lead sheet analysis. If you do use Roman numeral analysis, you will notice that you have a couple of secondary dominants that I'm going to leave it for you to find. And you can write that in. That would be impressive if you could find those secondary dominants. When practicing this piece, what you want to do is block the chords in each measure as you keep a steady pulse. I've already sort of demonstrated that in my overview, but I think you should do it one hand at a time to start with, where you're blocking all the chords. And just get comfortable. I want to focus on bar 5 and 6 for just a minute because there's a very tricky fingering there that you are required to use. By the way, you are required to use the standard inversion fingerings for all of these chords. Measure 5, you'll notice a triad, and the middle note is an A. And measure 6, you're playing a 6-3 chord, and the middle note is also an A. But watch what I have to do. I have to switch that third finger to a second finger. Watch real carefully. I'm going to do it again. 3 on the middle note, 2 on the middle note. This is called a finger substitution, and it's good to practice it just with the finger in isolation. 3 to 2. Use a big drop roll. Put it back in the chord. All right, you have another one, another finger substitution in measure 13 when you're playing this D minor 6-3 chord. And now you're going to go to an A minor 6-4 chord, and you have to switch the 2 in the middle to 3. 2 to 3. Isolate the chord, isolate the finger. Now put it back. One last time. You may be wondering, well, why can't I just keep the same fingering there? Why can't I just do this? Or this? There are a couple of reasons why you don't want to do that. One is that it kind of crowds your hand to do that and twists your hand in an awkward way. But the other reason is that the finger substitution is an important skill. So you're going to be using it a lot. So you want to be sure you can actually do it. Okay? So that's the finger substitution. That was the right hand. There are no finger substitutions in the left hand, but you want to be sure you're using the correct fingerings. You'll notice sometimes the middle note has a 3 and sometimes it has a 2. Now that you've blocked your hands separately, you can block them together like this. Another thing to do when you block is to practice your hands separately so you work on the alternating motion. You should be able to see how I'm doing the alternating motion. So when I play this chord, my right hand lifts and moves. When I play this chord, my left hand lifts and moves. When you get good at it, you can do that with the pedal. I'm going to kind of show you how I coordinate my hands with my foot. You have to remember that the timing of your pedaling and your playing is very important. You have to play, remember the rule, play first, then pedal. So I'm going to start with my pedal down. I'm going to play first and then change my pedal. Play first, change my pedal. Play first, change my pedal. Play first, change my pedal. You should be able to see that I'm not playing and changing my pedal at the same time. It's just a little bit delayed. this is also a great way to practice the dynamics, because you can see you have a dynamic change. You have a piano crescendo in bar 9 and then a diminuendo to the end in bar 14. I'm going to do that a little faster. It might be easier to hear that dynamic shape. When I'm comfortable with all of that, it will be no problem unrolling these chords. You can add a little ritardando at the end if you like. When I go to play it as written, I can practice my alternating motion, but I have to pedal really with the right hand in this piece because the right hand's playing when the pedal is changing. So start with your foot down and keep your heel on the floor the whole time. I'm going to go a little faster. There's a lot going on in this piece. It doesn't look very complicated, but there's a lot of issues. So try to go slow and follow my instructions in this video. And it's a beautiful piece, so I hope you enjoy playing it.